Kiwis love a thirst. Like Finn, we're making waves. Generate. Switch online today.
Dan, the Hangman Hooker, welcome to my podcast.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
You were just saying before we flicked into record mode, you've seen all my messages, and I wore you down.
I'm a serial ignorer, really. You just gotta, just persistence, you know. Now I know you. Now then, I knew you wanted it.
Yeah.
On the 25th message, like, yeah, all right. Come on there, mate.
It's embarrassing, though, because it's you've got a lot of followers, like 600, 700,000 followers. So I thought, maybe he just hasn't seen the messages.
Yeah, you can just pretend like you don't see them.
But you did see them. And
I saw a few. I did see a few. But no, I like what you do. I've seen you interview my coach, obviously. You interviewed Eugene. So I've been following. Everyone knows who Cobb. Hey, JJ
thanks,
and Dom. We grew up watching that.
Oh, did you? Well, I've been a big fan of yours.
Listening.
I was trying to pinpoint. 'Cause I'm not a massive like UFC guy. You know, like, there's some hardcore fans, but I got some free tickets to the UFC in February 2020, just before COVID started, and you were the headline act. I was up in the nosebleeds.
Felder fight, yeah.
Yeah, and I was surrounded by people saying, "Fuck him up, fuck him up," and it was the most incredible display performance I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a wild fight. Them gingers, man, they're both different. He kept, yeah. We both ended up in the hospital after that. It's obviously quite a well-known fighter where we're getting stretchered in next to each other. But yeah, we both ended up with like Rabo, I don't know, or Rabdo. I've had it a few times after fights, but it's like where your body identifies that it can't, there's too much muscle damage, and it realizes like it can't fix it all, so it just starts like pissing out, like your piss is like black, so you just, yeah. Because I thought I was going to the after party. I was like, yeah, boy, we're going to the after party. And then they just said, you piss in this cup and then you can go. And I was like, all right. And then I pissed in the cup and it was like black. I was like, oh no. But then I was going to get my sister to piss in the cup because she was there. But then I was like halfway through asking her, like, come on, like trying to convince her, come on, just go around the corner, chuck this out, piss in here. And then the nurse walked in and she just said, you're not going anywhere, champ. But I still got out. I still got out of the hospital that night. I think Felder was in there for like three days. They kept him in there, and yeah, it's. But I've had it probably five or six different fights.
Amazing. So I've got a photo here. That's the
yeah, that's the one there.
That's 2020 after.
That was like no real damn it. Like that hell of a fight, war, man. That was an absolute. I wouldn't want it any different. Like I know the fight ended like split decision, but it's like you put that much into it. You both just put your absolute heart and soul into a fight, and then it comes down to that moment as well where it's just like one for him, one for you, and you're just going, oh no, like because that's your. I've fought in Spark Arena or Victor Arena 3 times. Like all 3 cards here in New Zealand, I've fought on all 3 of them. And obviously being the main event one, and you just the added pressure of it, because it's like that's always sold out every time. That's 10,000 people that you have probably met at one stage or another of your life. So it's like if you lose or you get knocked out at home, it's like you'll hear about that till the day you die. You'll be at the pub with a 50-year-old man, and they'll be like, "Oh, remember I was there when you got knocked." So it's like the added pressure of it.
So when you get taken to hospital with your opponent after a fight, because there's this massive build-up. There's the weigh-in, the stare-down, then there's the actual fight. What's it like? What's it like in the hospital afterwards? Is it all?
What's done is done at that point. Like the fight's open. I've been at like a few different times. Jalen Turner, me and him get wheeled in together. I've been wheeled in after Dustin Poirier fight as well, and that's the same thing. Like he was kind of after the fight finished, and because that was a funny one because I had that fight after this Felder fight, and that was like deep in COVID. That was like one of the first cards of the Apex, and so they were just fighting in Las Vegas at the Apex, which is like a UFC facility. And I counted on the walkout that there were 17 people in the room who were having like a UFC main event. Like Dustin Poirier, people still message me every day about that fight. And yeah, there were 17 people in the room. So I like sat down after the fight because I knew I'd lost. And it was just like no adrenaline, just because if you got 10,000 people, I wouldn't have sat down. But I just forgot that there were millions of people watching at home. So I kind of sat down. Dustin started getting into me. And yeah, then we ended up getting wheeled next to each other at the hospital. And I was like, whoa, I said, what's all carrying on about there? Of course, we had I got into him a little bit at the hospital, and but what's done is done. You got 25 minutes to hit someone. If you're still upset at them, then you should have done more.
And I feel like at the moment, so we're recording this at the end of 2024. I feel like it's like peak Dan Hooker. Like you've never been more famous than what you are now. And I'll give you an example. I was out at a bar in Ponsonby with my girlfriend and a few of her friends maybe a couple of months ago, and you turned up at a bar next door, and everyone was buzzing like, oh, Dan Hooker's next door, Dan Hooker's next door, and then the girls were like, oh, he's with some girl and it's not his wife, and I don't know who the fuck it was, maybe your sister for all I know, but they were looking up on Instagram. Like, are you conscious or aware of like how recognised you are now, or how?
I don't tend to. Yeah, I don't want it to affect my life. So I live my life like normally. I'm not going to hide away or duck away or stay inside just because people are going to go out and say any kind of thing. Like I just live my life, and then everyone else kind of has to deal with it.
Well, it's kind of like Dave Chappelle. He's got a comedy sketch where he talks about he knows he's in other people's dreams. Like, so when he meets someone that's less famous than him,
well, to me personally, like I don't think of myself as like a famous person, because it's just like a strange way to live. Like walk around like waiting for people to recognize you. That's just I feel like that's an awful way to live. I live in my like own kind of bubble. I'm in my own bubble. People like physically stop me or burst my bubble, then that's fine. Like I'm cool with that. But yeah, I don't consider myself a famous person.
Well, when do you get? Because I listen to quite a bit of Joe Rogan. He loves you. He talks about you often. Like when does that stop being surreal? Like the biggest podcaster in the world, he had Trump on. He had
I've met Joe.
Of course, yeah, but it's like the people message you like, oh, Joe talked about you on this episode.
Yeah, you always get people buzzing, and that's cool because like anything that creates energy is like a very cool thing, because that's like people buzzing and talking about you. Like that's cool. You're giving people like special moments with fights, you know what I mean? They're always like a lot of people from like my last couple of fights where they're just like, oh, I'm going through a tough time, or I just suffered an injury in training, like I got hurt. And they message you like, oh, I draw a lot of inspiration from you being able to push through difficult times. So it is like cool that you're getting out there and inspiring people.
Mm. Yeah, I thought about you, cause I suppose because I was doing some research for this. I did like an ultra marathon last weekend, the 60K mountain run. And in the last 20Ks, it was really fucking tough, like mentally. And I thought about you a lot, and I thought, you could be like Dan, just like block the pain and push through.
Yeah, people think that, but the thing is like, no, like that's the funny thing about difficult times, is that people think that I'm just like in a fight and I'm just the whole time just like, yeah, that didn't hurt. Like people think like I don't have I did interview, and they were like, oh, you should do the pain Olympics, and I'm just like, no, like I hate getting hit. Like I hate getting hit. I hate pain. Like getting tattooed, I hate getting tattooed. It's actually, my missus was like, you're actually horrible at getting tattooed. Like I actually hate it. I think I just have like a good poker face, because people will watch a fight and they think that you're just like persevering the whole time and just brushing the stuff off. But in my head internally, I'm sitting there going like, ow, this hurts so, like I'm so tired. But it's like an internal battle with yourself constantly. That internal battle never stops.
No, but after I think it was your last fight, you became like a meme with the, I think it was in between the second to last and the last round. You're in the corner, and you're like, oi, boys. You got blood everywhere. You go, I love this shit.
Yeah, that's more.
It doesn't look like a guy that's upset with.
That was more like just my way of speaking to my coaches, because obviously my coaches come in, Huge and Andre, and I knew the gravity of the situation. It was probably like one round apiece. Like he won the first round, I won the second round. Like it was 1-1. It was like a tough fight. We're both exhausted. I'm covered in blood. I got 5 cuts all over my face, like this. And my coaches came in and they were just like real urgent, like. and I felt like kind of stressed, you know what I mean? So that was just my way. I just said, boys, laugh it off. I said, like, I love this show. It was just my way of letting them know, like, it's under control. I've got this. You know what I mean? Like, it was just it was my way of telling them that chill out. Andre gave me a little whack behind the head, like, focus. But yeah, it's just my way of letting them know that it's relax, boys. I know what I got to do.
Oh, I got this. But it didn't look like you had it.
That's the secret, brother. That's the secret. You're the king of chaos, brother. Like the more chaos is going on, the calmer I will be.
You are. I feel like you enjoy being called a psycho. Like I've heard.
I don't think I am, but I think they say the same thing about crazy people. They say, like, if you don't
realize that.
You don't realize you're crazy. It's just everyone else has to deal with it.
Because I've heard Rogan call you a psycho. Israel on numerous podcasts, including the flagrant one after the Madison Square Garden fight. Like he called you a psycho.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I used to think everyone thought like me. You know what I mean? I used to think, like, growing up or even fighting in the UFC, like, I thought that's the way that everyone thought. I thought everyone was like had that killer instinct and as competitive as stuff like that, and like that willing to push the boundaries. But yeah, like it's quite funny when you get to the top of the world and you realize there's only like a handful of guys like that. It's cool when you run into them. Like Dustin Poirier is one. Like you realize that Paul Felder's like another one. There's like a handful of us out there.
Okay, we'll I want to go back to the early years of Dan Hooker so we can like deconstruct you a little bit. But first of all, we'll just focus on a couple of the viral moments that have sort of come up recently. Like being called a turtle in a tree. Who called you a turtle in a tree?
Oh, Moicano.
Yeah, Moicano.
Yeah. It's like a guy I was trying to fight, and yeah, he just then he got ranked ahead of me. And then I was obviously calling him out. I challenged absolutely every ranked fighter to fight me in Perth. And the only guy that took it was kind of the UFC fought Gamrot. Gamrot took the fight, who was ranked number 5 at the time. And then I beat Gamrot. Like, I tried to fight Moicano, and Moicano didn't want to have the fight. He was saying that the tax is too high in Perth. He didn't want to have the fight, so then I beat a guy ranked ahead of him. So I just jumped right over him. But I made it very clear, like, of course I would have fought. I tried to call you out. You thought that I would lose. You turned down the fight with me. You put me in the tree. Like it's the only person that snuck the turtle up there was him turning the fight down. And then he went and fought in France and paid the exact same amount of tax.
But you seem like a really cool and composed guy, like a guy that never loses your cool. So when you see something like that or you hear something like that in the media, does it wind you up?
Oh, that's why that's the thing about it. Like, once you got something everyone else wants, once you're ranked in the top 5, once you're ranked above them, it's like everyone's like a scary dude until you win the world title, and then every man and his dog starts calling you out. You just have to want something. You just have to have something that everyone else wants. That's the key to it in the fight game, and you can't just sit around and get like offended by everyone. That's why everyone targets me, is because I do chirp back. I do chirp back, and they try to get under. They try their best to get under their skin. But I've been doing it so long and so experienced and seen absolutely everything. It's like when you're saying, like, oh, at the moment you've never been more famous and this and that. Yeah, it's because have won my last couple of fights. That's why everyone's being nice to me. If I had lost those fights, then no one would be nice to me. And I've been in this position multiple times in my career. So I know who the people that truly have my back and who are the ones that haven't. Because I started my pro career like 3 wins, 3 losses, and then earned my way to the UFC. I got in the UFC, and I was my UFC record when I first got in was 3 wins, 3 losses. So everyone does like turn on you, and I've been through these difficult times so many. Like, you just get like a better process of dealing with loss straight away. Like, I have like good processes of processing those emotions so you can work through it faster, because the faster you can work through being upset, then the quicker you can get back on track.
Yeah. Physically, you seem to handle like wins and losses. Physically, you handle that okay, but mentally, how do you handle a loss? a tough loss.
But it's all from experience.
Yeah.
I deal with the losses mentally just because I have the experience of doing it so many times before. Like I've been here so many different times in my past, and I've had a lot of losses, and the losses aren't really like a lot of our sport comes down to like timing, doing things at the right time, and a lot of times in my career, or most of my career, most of my losses is because I fought when I probably shouldn't have fought, where I was advised to not fight, like all through COVID when we were getting like locked down. I did training camps. I did full training camps in like my garage at home with police chasing me around the streets, telling me that if they catch me one more time that I was going to go to jail and stuff like this. I've been through all those difficult times, and you just get like a great process of bouncing back. Like it's mental experience. I'm not mentally tougher than anyone else, I don't feel. I just have more experience.
Oh no, you are though. you 1000% you are. You're a savage. Okay, another quick couple of things. iShowSpeed, the YouTuber. That's probably the most, at the time we're recording this is the most recent thing you've been I suppose in the mainstream media cycle for. So yeah, YouTuber with like 100 million followers over all his platforms. He came to City Kickboxing.
Yeah. Oh, he's hell famous. Like I definitely knew who he was before he came into the gym. But yeah, one of the fighters that Aaron Toe had got hit up by our friend Ra, and they said, iShowSpeed's in New Zealand. He'd like to come in the gym and like do something. So I thought he was just coming in, and I was going to let some of the younger guys do it. Obviously, Navajo Sterling is a younger fighter, and he streams as well. He does streaming as well. So I was like, I'll just leave it to the younger guys. But then he walks in the gym and he's just going like, who am I fighting? He was like, who am I fighting? He's like, I'll beat anyone up here. I threw him in with like the younger guys. I tried to match him with like an amateur boxer, and I tried to put him in with one of the younger guys, but he was just hell bent on getting in there with me. And I've beaten up a few social media people in my time.
You love it. You go hard.
Nah, it's like I don't walk in your fucking office and, you know what I mean, with a briefcase, sit down at a desk and start fucking typing, pretending like I know what to do, like know what I'm doing. Like I feel like when you walk in a gym and you put those gloves on, like it's a reality check. Like what have they done to like even earn that position to be there? They need to know like this is the reality of the situation.
So what percentage were you hitting him? Like 60%?
It's not like really like a percentage kind of thing. Like I was just going when like he was stop, reset, like start, and I'm just sitting there just having a good time. Like that's
You were having the best time. You look like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah, like I've done a few times. Like the Nelk boys have come in. I've beat them up. Kai teed it up with the Nelk boys, and same thing. I was dusty. I had a big night. This is a while ago. I had like a big night, and then Kai's like, "Can you come in and beat the Nelk boys up tomorrow?" And I was like, I'm running late. I get there hungover and I was running late for something else. I only had 15 minutes, and then the boys go like, "Oh, so we're all gonna have a go?" And I was just thinking in my head, I don't have time for this, lads. I was like, I have an idea. I was like, if I beat the first guy up real bad, I was like, then the other guys won't want to do it. You know what I mean? And so he went to touch gloves, and I just started booting him in. Anyway, smash them, and then they go, anyone else want to have a go? And they're just like, nah. And I said, all right, boys, I'm running late. Got to get out of here.
Unbelievable. Is it then? I believe this is the reason you didn't get to meet Mark Zuckerberg.
That is, you've done your research. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well,
What's the Zuck story?
Well, the Zuck story was like before the Jalen Turner fight, like they'd all planned it, like Volk and Israel and stuff like that. They were all going to California and they were going to like do some training with Mark Zuckerberg. But no one mentioned to me the whole week. And then after fight, because I broke my arm, they were like, "Oh, it's because you broke your arm." I was like, this has been planned. There must have been a big scheme behind the things. Like no one told Dan that we're gonna go meet Mark Zuckerberg, because I would have done that. Like that's just what I do at sparring. Is there's no malice in it or not being malicious in training, but it's just like you need to know. I feel like it's your obligation to let people know. Like no,
so you would have gone too hard. You would have fucked the Facebook guy in the face.
This is reality. I am a reality check, and it's like a good test of character. You get to see who someone is. Like when you put them under pressure like that and you're pumping them and like, who have I ever, like, there's a lot of people I've hurt, but who have I ever injured? I haven't injured. There's like it's like when, who did I go? Oh, I went on The Rock. The boys had me in, and it was, then Mitch got me to, one of the young producer, got to put him in a couple of chokes. You know what I mean? He goes, oh, again. And I was like, all right. You've asked me 3 times now. So I put the choke on. He's tapping away, but like I put him in this experience here because I put him the perfect amount of out, where it's not like you put someone too far asleep, then they start like waking up gurgling, or they're out for too long and everyone starts to get worried, or like it's not out enough where no one really notices and he can kind of brush it off. But it's like the right amount of out where they're just out for like 5-6 seconds and then they spring back to life. But do you know how many people you have to have choked out to know the perfect amount of out?
What's the number? Is there an exact number?
There'd be a lot, but
You're not counting.
I've been choked out probably 100 times myself. Like,
but you love it, eh? You fucking love it.
I do, but it's like that's the contrast of loving something is you have to hate something. You have to have like the equal ability to hate something. Like I probably hate it, and I've been to the lowest lows in this, the absolute lowest lows, scraping the barrel in this sport. You know what I mean? But that's why you can truly test. Like coming into that fight, it's not like like that last fight, that Gamrot fight, like the training camp and all that. Like to be honest, I was kind of over it. Like I was going home telling my missus like, I'm kind of over this, and it wasn't until like I actually had the fight. And that kind of like reinvigorated my passion and love for the sport. But coming into that fight, like I was like thinking of other shit to do.
Because you've been doing it a long time. You've been doing it a long time. 15
years professionally. I had my first professional fight like a week I just turned 19. So I just turned a week 19 when I had my first professional fight, and now 34. So yeah, you've been doing it all. Longer than most.
Yeah. What about Trump? Have you met Trump?
I haven't I've seen him through the cage after the Jalen Turner fight, and I just like walked over and gave him a wink, and he gave me a wink back, and one of those. It was cool when you meet someone like that. But him being in back in office is so good for the fighters on this side of the world. Like we have no idea how much like influence this kind of thing had, because because a lot of the times like American politics doesn't mean dick to a New Zealander, you know what I mean? It doesn't impact your life, but it actually impacts being like a New Zealand fighter or Australian fighter traveling to the United States. Because when Trump was in power, it was just before in COVID times, just before the Dustin Poirier fight, and like the visa offices were closed and this and that. The ambassador for New Zealand, the US ambassador for New Zealand, called me. Like I just got a phone call, and he's like, "Hey, I'm the ambassador for the US." He's like, "I heard you need something," and I was like, "Yeah, I need a visa." He's like, "Come in tomorrow morning. There'll be bring your passport, and we'll stamp a visa in there." And I was like, to have that was crazy. And then before the Nasrat Haqparast fight, I could not get word back with like the obviously the Biden administration and that, like because obviously like Dana White's like a huge supporter of Trump and that side of things.
Oh, they're like best friends.
So I kind of felt like we were getting like brushed to the back. And to get a visa for that fight, I actually started a Twitter social media campaign, like harass the New Zealand embassy, and that like people were submitting just hundreds and hundreds of like fake applications and stuff like that. So eventually they called me back just so I feel like the consulate would get left alone.
So like your podcast rule, the rule
like
of 25.
Pure harassment. Like I just harassed the visa office till they called me back.
And Dana White, you once accidentally told him to fuck off?
I did. I was after the Edson Barboza fight. And obviously that got my absolute shit kicked out of me in that fight. Like that was, I'm not going to blame anything, but I had my, it just wasn't the most important thing going on in my life at that point. I had The birth of my first daughter was, I think, 3 weeks before that fight. And to be honest, I just didn't think about the fight. Like, I was there, the trainings physically, but mentally, it just not the most important thing in my life. So I'm not thinking about it at all. So the birth of my daughter, and then 3 weeks after that, I think fight week, when I got to Milwaukee for fight week, I hadn't slept since the birth of my daughter. So I slept for a week straight. And then I kind of, wasn't until I was standing in the cage and I was like, all right, Edson Barbosa. I was like, how do I deal with this kind of? So yeah, I got the shit kicked out of me anyway. But I'm out the back. But my coach was bored as well. Carl Weber was there. My coach was bored as well, and someone come up and like tap me on hit me on the shoulder when I was on the medical tent, and I thought it was Carl, and I was like, get the fuck off me. I was like, get the fuck away from me. I turned around, this Dana White, and I was like, ooh shit. But yeah, he goes like, oh, we'll get you anything you want. Like, what do you want? I'll get you anything you want. I said, first class flight home and take me to McDonald's. Those are the two things that I wanted.
Mm. Is that, yeah? Since you brought that up, the Barbosa fight, I watched that the other. Have you ever watched it back?
I'm trying to think. Oh, I've obviously seen the highlights. Like, people that don't like me send me the highlights all the time.
Do they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's brutal to watch. It's awful, but it's
old school shit. That's old school shit.
But yeah, cause I mean, you lost and you got beaten badly. But part of me wonders if you're like proud of like how determined you were, and like the fight ends with you basically walking headfirst into a fist. Like you're not cowering or shying away.
I couldn't see any of I couldn't see anything.
What do you mean?
I couldn't see anything. Like my orbital was cracked, so like my vision was gone, and I have like a lazy eye anyway. So this eye was shot, and then my other eye like was getting punched in as well. So I was looking, I couldn't see anything. That's why I was.
But what? Like
I would have to go off his punches to my head to try and find him. That's what I was thinking.
Like extreme Marco Polo.
Extreme Marco Polo. I was like, well, I can't see anything. So at least if I walk forward and he hits me, then I know that the end of his arm will be his head.
But why did you keep fighting, or why did your corner not throw the towel in? Because it was game over.
I'm glad that it was. My coach Carl Weber was in my corner for that, and he like copped a lot of criticism myself, but he knew what it was. Like I'm thankful that he was the one cornering me for that fight, so he let me test myself to that level. Because I knew after the first round that the fight was the possibility of winning the fight had slipped away. But like in what other walk of life or what other sport do you get to test what you're mentally made of to that extreme? Like there isn't a single other sport on the face of the planet that you can test that, and it's like old school shit. It's like I wanted to see him if I would quit in my own head. I wanted to push that mental dog on me myself, and like I know that thing's like I try not to rely on it, but I know that's look at what my mind will let me do. My mind will let me walk head first into the fire, and there's not many other people that have tested their mental capacity to that extent. So I'm thankful that my coach let me test it. It could have been so easy for me to stop that fight. Like in between the second and third round, like they obviously checking my eyes because I could not see. And they come and check your eyes, like they cover one eye and they hold up some fingers and they go, how many fingers am I holding up? And I just took a stab in the fucking dark. Like I just guessed it. Like and to get the fight stopped, all you had to do was like say it's wrong, or they're actually really good. The doctors at not the doctors, like the referees, like you want to keep going. They'll whisper something to you, like if you want the fight stopped, look away. Like they'll whisper in your ear, and I was just like all I had to do was go like this, like break eye contact, and the referee would have stopped the fight. But
fuck, you're a savage. And do you still like DM him? Fuck you from time to time.
Every now and then. I haven't done it in a while though. Like, of course I want that one back. I said if he ever wants to come, he moved a weight class down. If he ever wants to come out, I would love to get that one back. So
a fight like that, how long does it take to get over, like mentally?
That one was more. That one was more physically. Because obviously when I got back to New Zealand, I still had a newborn, and that. But yeah, I had a broken orbital from that one, and because I regret that because they would have. I should have got it fixed. In America, because it happened in America. They were like, oh, you can hang around, get it fixed, or you can fly back to New Zealand and get it fixed. And I just wanted to get home to my baby, so I said I'll get it sorted in New Zealand. But it just so happened I came back and it was like Christmas, so all the surgeons had taken it off. So yeah, I think it was like 5 weeks. I just was walking around with like a hole in the side of my head. And then they were like, oh, so just go into Middlemore. And I just went into Middlemore every day. They're like, wait, go in at 7, wait there. And I wait there. They tell you about midday, like, oh no, try again tomorrow. 3 days I got like turned away. From 3 days I sat at the hospital, got turned away, not today. And then on the final day, they got it sorted. And I was like, oh, well, I should have got it done. In the US, it would have got sorted a lot quicker.
Is that how you got the nickname the Hangman? You just hang around a hospital?
Hanging around hospitals, baby. I spent a bit of time, but also after that fight, I had vertigo. So it's like vertigo. That's like because you have crystals in the back of your ear, and they tell you like they help your equilibrium and your balance and stuff like that. So it would be. I thought it was initially thought it was concussion at first, but it was actually vertigo because it's like it would take me about a minute and a half to stand up. Like I'd have to like sit up and then just sit on the edge of the bed, and the room's like spinning. Then stand up and just not move yet because the room, like your brain's telling you like this is up, like this is down. You don't know what it is till it settles down. But yeah, it was just vertigo. But then after that fight, I went and got qualified as a real estate agent. I was just making sure that I wasn't retarded.
Do you worry about like long-term like brain damage or anything like that?
Oh, you definitely like you can't get away from that. Facing that and acknowledging that that's definitely like a part of the sport. That's we've been aware of this. That's the difference between us and like a lot of like you see it happening in rugby league and union. Now they're taking concussion like very, very seriously. But that's something that we've known in combat sports for the longest time. It's not very hard to see like what's happened to legends in the fight game like Muhammad Ali and this and that. That we've always been aware that you should be looking after your brain and taking time out. But yeah, like I've definitely like after like serious consideration, like you have to look after your brain.
Yeah, because see,
there's some people that are like hell prone to it. Like I definitely feel like some people are far more prone to it than others. Like I have friends that have never been punched a day in their life, and they get in a car accident. And they got concussion for a year and a half, 2 years. Like there's some people that are definitely prone to it, and I feel like on the scale of being prone to it, I'm obviously not.
Yeah, because you seem fine, but you say how old are you again? 30?
34.
34. So I'm 51, so I'm, 17 years older than you. So when you were my age, and I still think on the big scheme of things, like I'm quite young. When you're my age, your daughter will be in her 20s. You know, maybe you'll be about to become a grandfather. I don't know. And there's still a lot of life left to live. And I just wonder if you worry about that next chapter of your life.
I've set my life up that it's idiot proof. Like I'm very my life is absolutely idiot proof.
What do you mean, like in terms of like financial security or
financial security? Like it's all I couldn't spend all my money if I absolutely wanted to. It's all locked up. All my assets are locked up in trusts and companies and businesses, and it's all I couldn't because you see that with like a lot of old fighters that they blow their life savings, or they fall into drugs, or they fall into gambling, and they end up broken and with nothing. But yeah, I anticipate my own stupidity and I protect myself from it.
Yeah, no, I just worry, I guess, more for like a mental health aspect, like like later on in life. But I think you're fully aware of it. You'll know when to get out at the right time.
It's a fuck no. It's a. They're dragging me out, mama. They're dragging me out. I don't anticipate fighting for like stopping fighting. Like I want to say 40. I want to say I'll pack it in when I'm 40. But yeah, like it's a. I've sat down with my wife and I've sat down. My family knows like that. This is you couldn't stop me from fighting if you absolutely wanted to.
Yeah, and after fighting, like, what would bring you the same amount of like, I don't know, adrenaline or dopamine or whatever? Do you know what I mean? You've got
Probably.
this massive.
I think I might become a skydiving instructor. That's my that's my thought process.
I don't know if that's serious or not.
Skydiving instructor.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going. But yeah, like there's like a lot of different things I could be doing. Like even for money wise, like even when I got like I'm not here for the money or anything like that. Do I need to fight? Like I don't have to fight another day. If I live like at the like where I'm living right now and the comfort level that I'm living right now, like I would never have to. I would never have to fight again. It would be. I could easily get a normal job, but yeah, like it would drive myself crazy. Like still have that itch in the back of my neck that I've still could have been the best. You know what I mean? Like you're still in a position. You're number 5, number 6 in the world, and I'm pretty much like one fight away from being able to prove that you're the best fighter in the world.
Well, as I said at the beginning, I feel like we're sort of at like peak Dan Hooker now. Like I feel like your star's just rising and rising. And
people are like, oh, you know, you're 34, you're getting old. Like, aren't you worried about slowing down? It's like, mate, I was 19 fighting and I was slow. Like, I've never been fast. Like, am I worried about slowing down? Like, I'm definitely like, I'm not a fighter that's ever relied on physical attributes. Like, all of mine are. Skill, like it doesn't look like it so much when I'm fighting, but there's a lot of like skill involved in that. Skill, and I rely on my mentality. So am I worried about like slowing down or physically not being able to have that same reaction time? It's like I've always been slow. Like I've had other coaches yelling at their fighter like, he's so slow, like how are you still getting hit? And it's like, because I'm tricky.
I mean, I don't know a lot about the sport, but you look pretty skillful to me. It looks like you're very good at kneeing people in the chin.
That is always there. That's not
your signature move.
That's a signature move. That's not
good.
That's not really even I don't have to train that thing. It's got a mind. It's got a mind of its own.
I've seen that in slow mo. I wouldn't want to be kneed in the chin.
It just whips up out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that one pays the mortgage. That one. I keep him around.
Yeah, I'm pleased to hear about the financial piece of the puzzle that's sorted for you, because you're I believe you're like when you first like sort of weaseled your way into the UFC by emailing someone and saying, "Oh, I should be on this." You got $8,000 for the first fight.
$8K, yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
eight and eight was what the UFC contracts used to be. So that's $8,000 to take the fight and make weight and go inside the cage, and then another $8,000 to if you get your hand raised. So yeah, like it's and for the years of work that you put into it to get to that stage, that's like 5 years investment. Like a lot of the fights on my pro career I've fought and wasn't paid a cent. Like a lot of those fights on my pro career, a couple $100 or for absolutely free. You know what I mean? So there's 5 years of working to get that first. And if you lose after, you get $8K tax, pay your coaches, pay management, pay your medical expenses, you're probably walking away with like a couple of grand. So yeah, it's not a sport you would do for the money.
Yeah, do you, because of and you're partly responsible for this, like you've paved yourself, and then I suppose Izzy and Kai and Carlos and whoever else, you've paved the way for a lot of young fighters, and they've realised that the UFC is a possible dream for New Zealanders. You must see a lot of people come to City Kickboxing, and like, how do you manage their expectations?
Obviously, the sport is grown. Like the sport is huge, and obviously City Kickboxing is crammed wall to wall, and this every pub in Auckland or every pub over New Zealand is packed when there's a UFC on, and this and that. Jiu-jitsu's flourishing, boxing's flourishing. Like it's definitely spread. But in terms of people that are about this, that are cut out to be professional prize fighters, like that number has never trained. Like this the people always find the sport. Like there's only a few people, and these are the people that are like teammates of mine, like Aaron Toe and this, like guys that this is where we should be. Like this is the most constructive thing that I feel like I could be doing with authority problem and anger issues. Like it's like finding something constructive to direct that into, and I've been able to make a great living from those two things, which you see like a lot of young men in New Zealand with those authority problems and anger issues destroy themselves. Like most young men with those problems destroy themselves. I've just used them.
See, I would have never have associated like anger issues with you because you seem so composed and controlled.
That's a secret. I'm always angry.
What really? Yeah. What makes you angry? Like what winds you up?
Nah. I'm pretty
You seem super chill.
I am, but that's because I've been at the gym already punching people's head in, and I yesterday doing the same thing. Like I get to let that out in the most controlled environment you can possibly direct it into. Like that's why. If I'm not able to go to the gym, like you go absolutely wild. Like when I broke my arm, I broke my hand and then I broke my arm and had 2 surgeries back to back. And yeah, look, I ended up drawing all over myself. Like I ended up covered in tattoos because I needed something, another, and like a tattoo is like a fight. Like you're going in there and like before you get it, you're just thinking, oh man, this is going to be tough. You know, there's going to be a good push. Like, and then you're there, you're same as a fight. Like you're trying to stay calm and composed, like during the whole procedure. And then after you're resting and recovering and this and that. So yeah, I wasn't, when I broke my arm and had surgery, like I actually wasn't allowed anywhere near the gym. So I directed it into drawing on myself.
What does make you angry? Like
getting hit. I hate getting. I hate getting.
You know what?
hit.
I don't believe it.
I absolutely hate it. That's why as soon as I get hit, I absolutely lose my cool and start swinging.
Because you guys train really hard, eh? Like there's a clip on YouTube, the spider thing.
Yeah.
So spider is where basically do you want to explain what it is? What's the spider?
Oh, it's like like fight simulation. So if you're fighting 3 5-minute rounds or 5 5-minute rounds, we come in and we pretty much get like Shark Tank. You get exhausted in Shark Tank, and it's just you get to run through it. It's more a mental thing than actually a physical test. Physically, obviously, you get to test your mind and this and that, but it's like you get to every week. We do it every week at the time that you would fight. So that's about like Sunday midday here in New Zealand. So every Sunday midday, your whole of fight camp, you get in the gym, you go through fight, and you pretty much get like 8 practice runs at what you would do on fight day. So when it actually gets to the day, your body and mind is used to firing at that time. But yeah, it's hard. You get pushed to your absolute limits by your teammates.
Because you guys go hard on each other. So how do you feel on Sunday morning when you wake up and you like are you full of nerves and anxiety, or do you look forward to driving in?
Fight day. I like spider. I like doing it. But yeah, it's not as fun as like an actual fight. Like definitely not the same nerves I get. Oh man, it's nothing better than waking up on fight day. That's my absolute favorite. When I wake up on fight day, I have just a warm, fuzzy feeling in my stomach. When I know that I get to go out there and go out in front of, and I do, like, I love fighting in front of everyone. I hated COVID times where you're fighting in front of just a handful of people. When you know there's a sold out stadium and you get to go out there and like share something with those people like that, there's nothing better than that. So I wake up fight day, like with a smile on my face and a warm, fuzzy feeling in my stomach.
Yeah. From what I've learned about you, you don't really get nervous, eh?
Not for fights. And that's not like a good thing. And I'm not saying that to like, yeah. I'm not saying that to young fighters, like you shouldn't wake up nervous on fight day, because you should, because nerves bring out the best in you. You should wake up on fight day like nervous and like, oh, not too much, because you obviously need to be able to control that. I control it like a tap. It's because I have to do the opposite, where I don't wake up with nerves, which is not a good thing, because I've had a lot of fights in my career where I'm like getting beaten up for 5 minutes and then I go, oh, that's right, it's a fist fight. Like, you have to wake up for this. Like, then I'm the reverse, where I have to make myself like a little bit nervous. You know, I have to think at home, you got to pay your mortgage. Oh, everyone's watching. Like, I have to turn those nerves up a little bit. Whereas most people are controlling it and turning it down.
Yeah, what does behind the scenes look like on the day of a fight? So say you're at somewhere like Madison Square Garden, for example. Like, what's it like behind the scenes there? That must be that's insane.
Yeah, that's wild, because I didn't know until after the fight, but like everyone that fights and I think wins at Madison Square Garden, like there's a hallway with like all incredible basketball players and UFC fighters. So if you win, you get your own picture. So next time I go back there to Madison Square Garden, there'll be a picture of me on the wall of the hallway. But yeah, like that's go time now, baby. Like I wake up, fuzzy feeling, have some breakfast, like hang out, depending on what time the fight is, a little bit of lunch, just watch some TV, sit on my ass, and then like go to the venue. And then out back, you're just hanging out with all your mates. Like obviously on that card, like Israel was fighting. There was like all our team out the back, and I'm just like I am every day at training, like joking around with my mates, hanging out, and get like a little bit warm. I don't like to warm up too much. I call it. If you're always ready, you don't got to warm up. I hate it. I hate warming up. I want to save that. I want to save that energy for the fight. But I don't like to burn off too much nerves or get myself tired in the warm up. I like to, I've seen Mark Hunt warm up, and it was like the funniest shit I ever seen in my life. Like he was sitting there. And then he's like out back, and he's just like, ugh. And then they were like, come on, do some pads. He stood up, he threw like 4 or 5 uppercuts, sat back down, and he was like, ugh. Like he was pissed off that they got him up, you know? And then he went out there, threw an uppercut, boom, knocks the guy out massive. Like, so I was like, oh, maybe I can do it my way. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm doing it my way.
And like a UFC after party in New York when you've been at Madison Square Garden, what does that look like?
I always make the after party. Izzy was on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz the next day, and he threw you under the bus. He said, he started talking. I always make church 7 a.m. the next day. Make church. But no, I always make it. Jalen Turner fight, broke my arm, broke my orbital, and I still made it to the after party. I called me mum. I called me mum after the Gamrot fight. 5 cuts on my face, stitched up, both eyes shut. I had to get people walking me around. But yeah, like I said, don't worry, mum. I said, I'm still going to the after party. I'll make the after party. She's just horrified. Really.
And who's at the after party? Is it like a who's who?
Well, the last one I couldn't see anyone, so that was.
No, who goes?
It could have been. You could have chucked me in a cupboard and put some music on. Like I wouldn't have had a fucking clue. Like.
But does your mum worry about you?
She would. Like I get stressed when my friends fight. Like I have no idea. I would. Yeah. Like people ask, oh, what if your daughter would do it? It'll be like, oh, I would jump in the cage. If an 8-year-old girl punched her, I'd be jumping the cage. Oh, I could not. I don't understand. And that's like normal people fighting. Like I get nervous with my friends. Like that's normal people. I'm like me. I don't know how my mother does it, but she's cool as a cucumber. She's seen me do some pretty mad, like fight heavyweight here in New Zealand, and absolute wars. And she's always like just cool, calm, and collected. I know she worries, but she lets me do my thing.
Yeah, she sounds crack up. So when you first started fighting, you had like a post-match thing where you'd like slit your throat and then pretend to lick the blood.
Well, I would.
And
if there was blood, that was my old thing. Like after a fight, like you'd have blood on your gloves and that, and I'd do that. Like hangman, I go, and then I'd lick the opponent's blood or my blood or whoever's blood it was. Like lick it off my gloves, and then my mum just, hey Dan, can you the blood thing? She's like, I don't really like that. She's like, can you do something else? So I did it as like a piss take. I think the first one was I fought King of the Ring here in New Zealand, and that's like after every fight, like. Finish, knock them out or win or whatever, I would turn to the crowd and I just would do a bow. Like I did like a curtsy. I just bowed to the whole crowd. And I said, Mum, you like that one better? I said, do you like the bow? And she says, I do like the bow.
Yeah, now
I get told off. She tells me off for swearing as well. I'm going to get in trouble for swearing a few times on this. Fight week, I have to. Last fight week, I promised no swearing in my fight week interviews. I only swore 3 times by accident.
So what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, chill. My parents, couldn't be better. Normal Kiwi.
Family dynamics. Your parents still together?
Yeah.
Siblings?
They're still together. I got 2 older sisters. Oldest is been married for a long time, and then I got my my second sister's wedding next week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What were you like as a kid? What was the most trouble you got in?
Oh, I try to stay. Oh, I see. I always stay away from these questions.
Do you? Why?
No one's actually been able to get to the bottom of this. Really, I throw a lot of people off. But it was good. My mum did an incredible job of like. I feel like I was always like a wild kid, but she was just incredible at being able to manage me. She didn't ask much. Like my mother didn't ask much, but when she did ask for something, like I knew that she, I'll do that. Hey Dan, can you knock this on the head? And I'll be like, yeah, all right.
Who was the disciplinarian? Was it like your mum or your dad?
Oh, my dad.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like, I'd say like most families like are normal. Like he's got no idea. But so you want me to get your father? He's got no idea what's going on. But yeah.
I think it's the same with.
But he's just always ready to go.
What did you like the belt, wooden spoon? What was it?
Nah, he was good. Right. Like he was good. Yeah, just a smack on the bum.
Right.
Like, nothing. Yeah.
Because we'd get a belt growing up.
That's the funny part. He comes in the room like no idea what's going on. But yeah, he's just ready to whack you on the ass, which is. It's cool because then most of the time it's like a person like me, like a guy like me. Yeah, like you can chuck me in as many naughty corners and this and that as you want, but it's like we'll give you a smack. I'll dip out. So yeah, like mum did all the work. Dad was ready to go.
It sounds similar to us. It'd be like, wait until your father gets home. And then hours later, we'd be in trouble for some shit we couldn't even remember.
Like, nah, I'll give you what you want.
What are you? Just looping back to what we were on before, did you get in some real trouble when you were younger, or are you embarrassed about, or are you ashamed about some of the shit you did when you were younger, or what?
Nah, nothing at all. I don't tend to kiss and tell. Look, no criminal record, mate. Whoa. It's not what you do; it's what you get caught doing in life.
So in some ways, I had another guy. I don't expect you to know the name, but this guy called Officer J, Jamie Pinnell, and he was a little bit wayward growing up, and then he discovered the army, and became a badass in the SAS, and went on tours with Willie Appiata and stuff. And he reckons the army sort of put him on the right track. I
met Willie Appiata. He's a cool dude.
So I feel like maybe it's the same for you with the combat sport.
1,000%. Like I finished school, I didn't know kind of what direction I was gonna go, and I actually was like thinking about the army. I was like, oh, maybe I'll join the army, and I googled is New Zealand at war with anyone, because I was like, I'm not gonna sign up to the army if I can't kill anyone. And then and I said New Zealand's not at war with anyone, and I was like, oh fuck, a waste of time. So then I found fighting soon after that.
What would you?
I'm not gonna join the army with no war.
What would you be doing now if you didn't lean into fighting? You studied business for a bit, real estate, landscaping. What do you think you'd be doing now?
Oh, anybody's guess. Absolutely anybody's guess. Like life is life, and you roll with the punches, and but yeah, like can't sit and say I would do any one thing, but yeah, I wouldn't like. You just always know what you're capable of, and always know that you're capable of doing more. So I feel like no matter what I would be doing, I would be successful at it.
Yeah, because you obviously have that ability to just like apply yourself and really fucking lean into whatever you're doing.
Well, that's it. If you find something that you're passionate about and you absolutely love, well, then how can you, like, it's not that... I've just stuck at this longer than anyone else. Like, am I better? Am I the best guy I've ever trained with? Am I better than guys I trained with 10 years ago? Fuck no. Like, I've been getting my ass kicked every day for the last 15 years. I'm by far not the most skillful, the most talented, the strongest, the fastest. Like, I'm absolutely none of those things. I just stuck at it. I just kept doing it longer than anyone else has been doing it.
I don't know. I think you're being alarmingly modest.
Alarmingly modest.
Like,
well, that's but that's like my mentality on the thing. I don't
like you're built from different stuff to most people. Like whether you can see that or not. Like last night I watched the first UFC fight you did, and so the guy's got you in, what's the leg thing called? Is it a leg bar?
He did a heel hook.
So it looks like he's about to snap your.
Oh, he did.
Snap your leg.
Yeah, that's why he because he was like a leg lock specialist, He did. He dropped down for the leg lock in like the first round, and that was my debut in the UFC. And it was just down the road there at, I think it was Spark Arena at the time. And he did, and he got. We were both dry. He grabbed my heel, and yeah, he snapped it. There was probably like 6 or 7, like loud, like you can hear,
like it popping.
You can hear your ACL crack, like your ligaments in your knee. Like it's loud. I heard it. He heard it. The ref heard it, and they're all just like. But he tore it, and then he like looked up at me, and I was like, in my head, I thought, well, fuck it. I was like, and I was trying to convince myself before the fight. I was like, look, if he gets you in it, because it was like his move. If he snaps your ACL, it's like surgery and minimum 6 to 8 months rehab to get back to training. So I was telling myself, like, look, you took this fight on short notice. Like, if he really gets you in it, just tap, because we can get back and fight in the next one. But then in my head, he snaps it 8 times, looks at me, and in my head I thought, fuck it. I was like, snap it off then. I was just going to let him break it, and I was just going to punch my way out of it. Because, yeah, that's the way I do it. But yeah, it was like absolutely wrecked.
You end up just like clobbering him in the head, and
well, that's it. Like, because that's like a lot of my wins, or most of my wins, is like you people's when they think they have the fight won, the mind wanders. Like once you think you have the fight in the bag, you relax and you start thinking about, and I'm gonna say this at the post-fight press conference, and I'm gonna go to the after party, and everyone's gonna think I'm the man. And then they look up, and Dan Hooker's still fucking standing there, still swinging at them, and their world just comes crashing down, because it's the hardest thing to, when you think you have it in the bag, and it slips through your fingers. Like, that is it. And I've been there in fights. I thought I had the thing won. I thought the guy was going to tap out. I thought I had him. And then he was tough enough to stick in there. And there's no worse feeling in the world than your mind wandering to the after party, and then you come back to reality and you're exhausted and you're still getting hit. Oh, it's a horrible feeling. So from experience of having experienced that, I use that against people.
But when this guy's snapping your leg, you're not yelping in pain. There's no frown on your face. Like, it's just a blank expression.
Yeah, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to. Because if you do, like a cry out in pain is a tap. Like, that's in our sport, like a cry. If I go then that's the referee's allowed to stop the fight if I make any noise. So in my head, just like, don't make noise, and the fight will continue. I can hop around, like you can do a bunch of different shit on one leg.
Yeah, but it's just like a natural human instinct, isn't it? When you're in pain,
Yeah, but then you'd have a few more losses on your record.
Yeah. Shit, mate, this is so much fun. What time do you have to be out of here today? You've got another.
Nah, I've got plenty of time. I've got my Sky TV show. I do a show there.
Yeah, this is great. There's so much to talk about. Let's talk about the COVID stuff. So, COVID was actually, I've got a photo here. This photo sort of went viral.
Yeah.
So that's you and MIQ. For anyone that's listening to this, not watching.
Down the Novotel. I did a few stints there at the Novotel.
Yeah. It's a heartbreaking photo. So it's you.
I would never stay there as a guest, though. I don't know. And I did 2 stints at the Novotel and got the same. I got the same fucking room. I was like, not the same room. This is why I realized that. This is when I realized that I would not function well in prison. Like, I'm at a 5-star hotel and I was going absolutely insane. So I run around the car park every morning, the 10Ks in the car park, in like, you just run around in a square. Like, I'd get up, because we weren't allowed to exercise for more than half an hour, but I made a deal with the guy. I was like, well, if I get up earlier, I was like, can I run around for an hour and a half? So I used to just every day wake up, just run myself to death. And you were only allowed to go one direction. So I was like, I did like 5 days, and then one of my hips just was like completely wrecked. So then I spent the next 5 days running the other way.
But this photo, it's terrible though. Like, it sums everything up. It says, there's that saying, a picture paints 1,000 words. It says so much. So you're separated by
well, it got a shit ton worse than that, because that's like when it first started going down. This is when they weren't even like, look, the fence got higher, they got further away, they got completely blocked off. We had to have masks. Like, things got a hell of a lot worse than what's going on in that picture. That was just the start of it. But my mentality during the whole thing was like, fuck you. Like, I'm not letting this get in the way of what I want. And I took a lot of fights that I shouldn't have taken because I wasn't able to train for them. I wasn't able to get down the gym and be with my training partners or my coaches because we were away for so long. I got stuck out of the country with the voucher system for, I think, like 4 or 5 months in Vegas. 2 months I got stuck in Dubai. So my coaches obviously couldn't come with me because I can't expect them to be away from their family for 4 months, 5 months, 2 months. Like that's just too much to ask. But in my head, I was thinking, I'm not letting you stop me live life. Like, I hate that element of control that was trying to get that put on everyone.
So how many stints in the MIQ did you end up doing?
3, 2 at the Navajo, and then one they flew down to Christchurch.
Yeah. I hate even talking about this stuff because I feel like anyone that's listening or watching is like, oh, I don't even
over it. Yeah, over it. But they forget about it, like completely forgot about it. They just look at my record and they see like a bunch of losses at that stage, and they're just like, now I'm on 3 wins. They're just like, oh, he's not shit after all. And it's like, I wasn't able to. People have just blanked out that COVID thing altogether. Yeah,
because I feel like you guys were treated like really, really poorly, like in terms of a sports organisation. And in terms of not getting MIQ spots,
but that's just in general. Like in terms of that, like obviously rugby was able to still operate and this and that. Like that's fine. I know. That's just in general. Like in terms of our sport and like cage fighters, like I used to carry myself like a mainstream athlete because I wanted to set a good example for like combat sports and make it like a mainstream sport. And I know that it is violent. I know it can't be like a lot of people, it's not their cup of tea, and that's fine. I've got absolutely no problem with that. But I thought if I act like a mainstream sportsman long enough, they'll start treating me like a mainstream sportsman. But like through the COVID times, and like we just didn't. And even since then, in terms of like sponsorships, like fighters get gambling, which I'm happy to do. I gamble myself, like maybe a protein powder, and like we don't get the sponsorships that other sports get. And it's like I tried to act like a professional sportsman, but they just treat me like a cage fighter. And they do that for long enough where I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna just start. You want to treat me like a cage fighter? I'm quite happy to act like a cage fighter. And you see that with like sponsorship. Like, do you see any of us sponsored by Adidas or like have any anyone that sponsors rugby? Do any of them sponsor? They want us to act like professional sportsmen, but then they want to treat us like cage fighters. Yeah,
you're not getting like Rexona or Coke.
But it's like
or
the only reason why the Warriors and the All Blacks and this and that like act like that is because their unions have made them sign a contract which says that they can't do gambling, they can't swear, they can't talk about this, they can't talk about that. We're just lucky that with the UFC, like we're pretty much allowed to comment on anything. That's why people like speaking to the UFC athletes, because we're allowed to speak our mind. Like we're not controlled by any big organization to say anything. But yeah, like I'm quite happy and comfortable like acting like a cage fighter. Like that's because that's through and through that's who I was. I just kind of gave up on it. And it's funny because they're gonna regret that. They get like the mainstream companies are gonna regret that, because I've talked about this in the sponsorship meetings and just been like you're the next generation, like your kids go to your kid and ask him to name rugby players, and then ask him to name UFC fighters. Like they the next generation, like your kids are watching us, and we don't have to act like professional athletes. We're allowed to swear, we're allowed to gamble, we're allowed to go out, have a good time, and I'm quite comfortable doing that. Like as far as I'm concerned, they missed the boat. They missed the boat.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because I reckon the term role model needs to be sort of redefined. Because there's this perception that being a role model, you should be perfect and you should be.
Well, that's it. We're redefining it, because like a lot of the guys like rugby players and that, like they're just a bigger piece of shit as we are, but they're actually not allowed to say it. Like they have to hide that aspect away from it. Whereas like us, I'm not going to lose any sponsorships by going out and promoting gambling. I'm not going to lose any sponsorships by having a good time or swearing or commenting on something. Like I'm not going to lose any sponsorships by doing that kind of thing.
Well, nobody's perfect as well. So I think like being a role model, you should be allowed to make mistakes. We're not even
like at the end of the day, we're cage fighters. Like you like me because I fucking send people to hospital. Like that's why people like me. So it's not like I got to sit up here and and I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing this since before it was cool. I've been doing this since before no one knew what the fuck this thing was and what was going on. Even I had no idea the level that this sport would go to and how mainstream it would become. But yeah, like I do this because I truly enjoy going out there and hurting people. Like that's through and through. That's why I love to do this thing. So yeah, now you expect me to be a role model and you don't treat me like one. It's like, don't learn today.
Yeah. So there's another thing in that COVID time. So you guys had like your own bubble where you're living.
We're staying at the gym, probably like I think like 12, 13 guys.
Yeah.
We just because they said New Zealand's going into lockdown. And obviously with level 4 lockdown, you're not allowed outside of your bubble, and it goes down at midnight. So our coach Eugene said, I think it was like 8 p.m. at the time. He says, boys, we're going into level 4. You can't not allow outside your bubbles. Grab your shit, grab your sleeping bags, kiss your missus, say goodbye. You're moving into the gym. So like 12 of us moved into the gym, just set up mattresses, brought sleeping bags down the gym. So that was like our bubble. Then eventually we were training for like a couple of weeks. And then, like 6 cop cars pull up one day and they just said, the bubble's too big. Even though we were sticking to our bubble and we weren't breaking any of the rules. And they said, you've got to piss off back to your houses. Like you're not allowed, you guys aren't allowed to train here. So then, then I started training at my own gym because I still had a fight coming up. And it's like, I've had COVID a couple of times and it didn't do absolute dick to me. I'm more worried about, getting hit by a professional fighter and having not trained. I'm more scared of that than I am about getting the flu where I can't taste anything. Like that is bullshit. So I went to my own gym. And then, they had we were training at like a couple of guys, like a handful of guys. We're training on my own facility, which I owned there in Ellerslie. And they set up, some guy, I remember his name. I think it's George, I want to say George Bush, James Bush. No, not that. What's his name? It'll come to me. I still follow him on Instagram because I like to get him. I like to send him a message every now and then. I still got my eyes on you. He was like a reporter, and he had like a long lens, parked like super far away from the gym, and then took like photos of us as we were like coming out of the gym. And then we had I had a senior sergeant come around to my house and be like, "You've been caught, blah blah blah. Like if we catch you one more time, like you're gonna get locked up." So then I grabbed 2 training partners and I moved them into my house. And then we were just training in my garage for the fight.
Fuck, what a snitch!
And then big time snitch, big time. But so then I had cops come around to my house like every couple of days, like just checking, making sure that I'm not at the gym, like making sure that I'm not doing this.
So I'm guessing something like that makes you angry. But you managed to control I
took a lot of pride in not letting that stop me, because I didn't let that stop me. And the visa office to get actually for the fight I was training for, the visa office was shut, so I wasn't actually allowed. There was no possibility of getting a visa until I just got social media harassment, and I just harassed them. And it was the latest anyone has ever arrived for a UFC fight was that one. And I arrived, weigh-in was the next day. Weigh-in was 8 a.m. and I arrived at midnight on the Thursday. So it's like, it's the latest anyone's ever arrived for a UFC fight, because I didn't get my visa till like a day before I left. So I arrived, Thursday night at midnight, and then I just went straight to the PI, cut weight, and weighed in. So between landing from New Zealand, it was in Las Vegas, and fighting like 24 hours.
And was that the period where it was like Fight Island, where it was you guys just fighting with no crowds?
I did fight there. This one was in Las Vegas. Las Vegas had like returned to normal, but I fought at Fight Island as well. I took over my cornerman for that fight was Nate Law. He's still fighting, but it was a guy that had probably walked in my gym like a year and a half before that. Never cornered anyone in his life. And I just took him with me, and just me and him went to Fight Island and fought Michael Chandler.
Why did you find managed isolation so hard? Is it just like being bored and being in your own headspace for that long, or what?
Oh yeah. I absolutely hate being bored. I like to keep busy. I'm the more shit I got going on, the calmer I am. The more chaotic life is, like the more chilled out I am. If things quiet down or they stop, like I just get absolutely bored to death.
Well, you got too much thinking time, or
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I remember seeing I think
I obviously don't think like most people, so it's like
yeah, and it's good. It's good that you're unique. I think it was one of those stints in MIQ where like there was some social media footage of you like removing your own stitches. Would that be right?
Yeah, well, I've done that heaps. But I learned that from my old man. My old man used to play league, and he's just like, why would you go to the bloody doctor for some stitches? My old man, like hard man. That's I think that's where I get a lot of it from, is my old man, and he doesn't even realize like how much it impacted me. But it's like hard dude. That's like a hard old school dude. Never seen him cry. Never, like just one of those old hard Kiwi blokes. But yeah, he said, why would you go to the doctor? Like you just I'll show you how to take them out, son.
What about you? You've never seen your dad cry. Are you an emotional guy at all?
Yeah, like I think there's nothing wrong with crying. No. I tear up. Things are pissing me off every now and then, but it's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with like that's why like fighting's just, that's why it would be so hard to walk away from, because you just really get to, it's just the extremes of the human emotion that you get to experience, because obviously you win, there's nothing higher than that. Everyone loves you. You got things come, life gets to move forward. But if you lose, like then everyone thinks you're a loser. Probably if I win, I'll probably have thousands of messages across like social media. If you lose, I get three messages, like your mate, my mum, and my missus. Like that's the people that are like there for you.
So if I want to invite you back on the podcast, I need to wait till you lose, and that's the way you will see my message.
That's how you get me in. That's how you get in.
So like I've seen the Stylebenders movie, and like you guys are super masculine. Like it's a badass sport you do, and you guys are very manly. So I feel like you guys can sort of show vulnerability, which as we know is a strength, not a weakness.
For sure.
But you said you cry when things piss you off, like tears of like anger or frustration, or
nah, not like that. Not like that. I'm just I live life to the full. Like there's nothing wrong with crying. It's fine.
No, it's a great emotion. I find as I get older, I'm getting more and more emotional.
That's why I love fighting.
Yeah,
is because you will never feel like an extreme of the emotion like that. Like I've cried after fights, like you lose and you're just upset with yourself and performance. You think everyone hates you. Like it's the biggest deal in the world, but you get to feel something. You get to feel like the most.
Yeah, it's got to be the loneliest sport in the world when you lose.
Ooh, it's all your fault. Like, you have to. There's no teammates to hide behind. It's not like a game of football or anything like that where you lose and you can just hide behind your teammates together. Like when you lose, everyone points the finger at you. Like you have to take responsibility for that 100%. And that's why it's like so good when you win. Because you get to, everyone's just looking at you. You get 100% of that emotion. But when you lose, it's all your fault. No one else is taking the heat for you when you lose.
So when you lose, not even the Russian lady messages you.
Not even a Russian. Oh, was she around? Oh yeah.
I heard about that in another podcast.
My Russian stalker. I've had some good ones over the year. But
wow.
This bird was for years, bro. Like, would message me. You grab me Mrs. profile, like take all her pictures, start her own. Yeah, I had a stalker for I think like 3 years. Yeah, she would message me constantly. And then, she would like send me to because she got the address of my gym. She would like send me like mad shit. send me a phone, message me on this phone, like wanted me to kill my missus and run off with her, and all sorts of shit. And I was just like, wow. Probably like there was a stage there for like a year where she would make like at least 10 fake accounts a day and just message me off like every last one of them. Wild.
How did that end?
Eventually, she just disappeared. I don't know. Maybe, just ignored her long enough.
That's a worry.
That she pissed off.
She never made it to New Zealand, though, as far as you're aware?
Thank fuck she never made it to New Zealand. Holy wreck.
And what about you and Israel Adesanya? Like, it seems like you move in very different circles and you're very different guys, but you're still incredibly close. There's that clip on YouTube where I think it's titled Frenemies. But are you friends?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You've got each other's back 100%.
For sure. Well, without a shadow of a doubt, like, goes back till the day we die. Like, that friendship is not, it's not one of those friendships where you have to message each other every day. Hey, how you going, bro? Like, fuck. But we're like, we go through, like, a lot of the similar things. Obviously, I don't to the levels that he's at. Like, the levels of fame that he's at is absolutely wild. And we are very different people. Like, he's like, that's the funny part about it, is people think he's the bad one and I'm the nice one. And I'm just like thinking, what the heck? Israel's like one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like, he is actually like a really nice, heartfelt dude. Like, and I'm just not. So I don't know.
Why do you say that?
Oh.
Like, everything I've read about you, watched about you, heard about you in the past week,
that's
it's real good
like,
energy. Real good energy.
Yeah, but you're getting me on Fight Week where I'm happy as Larry. Most of the time you see interviews and stuff like that. Like, that's there's no Israel, like, there's no malice in it. Like, he doesn't. It's a competitive sport, and he's got no like malicious intent. Like, when he fights, that's kind of what I mean by it. Like, me, malicious intent. Like, I have terrible.
Intentions.
Like, I will fucking. I'm just trying to hurt someone.
But you need to, because they want to hurt you as well.
Yeah, but there is that. But there is like more than that. It's not. I love it. I love it. Like, I will never walk away from the sport. I'm gonna get dragged out. I guarantee it.
Wow, I'm pleased to hear that. And what about That's
Some
cool.
people think I'm old at 34. I'm like, fuck me days. Like, they'll be rolling me out. They'll be wheeling me out at 45. I'll still be.
Oh, what about Conor McGregor? Is that a thing or no? You went to help a mate in Spain at a bare knuckle fighting competition. And...
bare knuckle thing. Like, well, we got like a lot of mutual friends. Like Oscar, who runs the Conor McGregor's like social media thing, and Lee. So Lee and Oscar, they're on the Mac Life like YouTube channel, which I've worked with for years. Like, doing a podcast. Me and Oscar do a podcast called Pub Talk, where we just pretty much have a couple of beers and talk a bunch of shit about everyone. But yeah, I've been doing that part of Conor McGregor's channel for years, and we have a lot of similar friends. And I went over to Spain and was hanging out with the guys he grew up with and there, and we seem like pretty similar at the end of the day. But yeah, he's going through some hard times at the moment. I don't know when he's scheduled to fight next. But yeah, like that's a fight that makes a lot of sense, like in the future when he chooses to come back.
Because he said he wants to fight you in February, but you've got a baby due at that time.
He's not fighting in February. He's got a bit of shit to do. But yeah, like he'll come back. I think maybe sometime next year. But yeah, it's not like a fight I'm going to sit around and wait for. Like, I have something lined up for, I think, March next year. So I'm just in the gym getting ready for that.
This has been so... Well, what's left to achieve?
World title.
Yeah. Is that it?
I just want it once. I just want it for just one night. And I'm happy days. Just to lie down in bed with the world title, and just no one can dispute that. No one can dispute that. Because yeah, like there's a lot of people that don't think that you're capable of achieving it. But there's a lot of people. That's the thing about people, is they've doubted me since before my first fight. You know, like you've always got people that are there doubting you, and you continually like proving them wrong.
But even with the belt, like the doubters, they'll still come up with some shit to say.
For sure. but that's it. You
Yeah.
have the symbol that proves it. It's not like it's not about the money or anything like that at this stage. It's just focus on the title, and people can say that you're never going to achieve that as long as they want. But the reality of the situation is that I'm one fight away from lining myself up for a title.
What would you say? No, actually, maybe more specifically, like, say if you ask your wife what your worst habits or flaws were, what would she say?
No patience. Like
I'm
I wanted it yesterday. Like I've got absolutely not a shred of patience. Not a shred of patience. If I want something, I'm gonna go and get it that day. Like I don't. Yeah.
And your inner voice. What's your inner voice like? So just when you're alone in the car or in a seat on a plane flying somewhere, what are you like? Are you quite kind and positive to yourself, or?
Oh,
like
chill.
You beat yourself up, or
just a very simple man. I've got nothing but 3, maybe 4 emotions, and then that's it. You're happy, angry, hungry, or horny. Those are the 4 emotions that I have in my life, and I'll cycle between those 4.
Yeah, because you always seem like so positive and so upbeat.
Simple, very simple, man.
That's a good way to be.
It is.
In terms of legacy, how would you like to be remembered in the sport?
I can't say that I'm too attached to being setting any kind of legacy or being remembered in the sport, because it's so fleeting and it passes so quickly. Like to be remembered in anything would be, I don't know. That's like a weird. Like you're gonna give up, not do things in this life because you're worried about how you'll be remembered. Like it all fades. It all fades. And it fades, especially in our sport. It fades incredibly quickly. Like you could retire and then the sport will move on. The sport moves so much. Like Muhammad Ali passes away, a couple of years ago, and it's like, and give it another 10 years and see if anyone, like the just time moves. So to think that I think that highly of myself, that I'm going to be remembered in time is. My head's not that big.
Are you proud of yourself? It's a hard one for a Kiwi to answer, eh?
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, like I haven't achieved the things that I set out to achieve yet.
You've achieved a lot, though.
I have achieved a lot, but definitely not the. Yeah, it's like a Kiwi. I don't know. It's like a Kiwi thing. I think my old man keeps me very humble. Like he constantly, I fought because he don't really compliment the fights or whatever. And then I remember I won King of the Ring, which is like 3 fights in one night. And then I like went home and I had a big check. I had $10,000 on it, and I had a big check. And I was like, I had a belt, nice shiny belt, and I thought I was the man. And I walked in, and he's just like, they found 3 guys shit enough for you to beat in one night. And I was like, damn it. But it does keep you like, it's like a reality check. And then I won. I thought I was rich when I won my first fight in the UFC. And then that was like, I looked at my bank account, and before leading into that, I spent my whole bank account on the medicals to get into it. I think MRI was $1,500, and that blew me bank out. I had to do like a t-shirt fundraiser for my first fight in the UFC to pay for the medicals. So yeah, I had nothing when I stepped in that cage, and then I won, and I think 15 grand appeared in my bank account, and I thought I was the man, and I was like, check this out, check this. And he's like, well, you've been doing this for a long time. He's like, let's go over the last year, 15 grand for a year. He's like, you may as well work part-time at McDonald's. Probably would. And I was like, well, the reality of it is like, yeah, that is 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big apprenticeship you do, isn't it?
It's huge.
With no guarantee that you're going to end up with a good job at the end of it.
It's huge. Like that's why when you say like, oh, the sport's becoming mainstream and there's a lot of young kids getting into it, like, fuck, go play rugby. Like this is like when I'm doing hill sprints next to Carlos Olberg and Navajo Sterling, and I'm going like, at the time neither these guys weren't UFC fighters or anything like that. Now they're earning like some good money, but I was going if I had your guys' rigs, I'd be an All Black making millions of dollars. I was like, I'm 75 kilos soaking wet. Like, I can't be a NRL player. I'm looking at Navo Sterling with a 12-pack and 6'4", and I'm just going, I'd be kicking a bloody rugby ball around making millions. Like, this sport is, you got to have the heart for it. You got to have the mind for it. Like, it's you got to love it more. It can't be about there's so many people that are drawn to it now because they see like that you get heaps of Instagram likes, you know, like there's people that get into the sport now for Instagram likes, and it's like when you get that first punch on your nose and you hear that thing crunch, it doesn't matter. Like you're gonna start looking for the door on the way out. Like it truly, there's a handful of people that this thing is truly for.
What's been your biggest single payday? You've won heaps of like $50,000 like fight of the night bonuses, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, some good money.
Really?
Some good money. Yeah, over $500,000.
Damn. But again, well deserved. And the hours that go in before you even
I never anticipated having money from this thing. Like when I first started training in this sport, like it was, it definitely wasn't mainstream or well known and wasn't on ESPN. I think there was we used to have like one pay-per-view or one UFC event every 5 or 6 weeks, and there used to be a bar in Takapuna that would show it, and the bar wouldn't even be full. It was the only bar in Auckland that would play it. I think the elephant wrestling. We used to the MMA community used to go there and watch it at this bar, and we wouldn't even fill the thing out. There'd be 20 people at a bar, it wouldn't even, and it's the only pay-per-view event in the last 6 weeks or a month. Now every bar in town is absolutely full. Like you wouldn't get into this because you want it to be cool and girls will like you and Instagram likes. Like that can't be your motivation for this thing.
And do you get that just triggered something that I remember. Do you ever get people trying to pick a fight with you? Like there was the Israel Adesanya clip earlier this year where
me, not so much, because there's a whole lot of evidence that I will kick the shit out of you.
You're messing with the wrong dude.
My thing is, if I can justify it by law, if I can justify it by self-defense, I'm taking you out of the game. Like that's my line. If I can justify it, like that guy came up to me, that guy was being incredibly threatening. That was
too busy.
That you've come into my personal space. It looked to me like an attack was imminent, and I would be forced to protect myself.
Using reasonable force.
I also saw him put his hand in his pocket. He told me he was going for a knife and he was going to kill me. Like, if I can justify it by law, you are fucked.
But Izzy's response was great. He said to the guy something like, "Bro, I get paid millions of dollars to knock people out."
But Israel's not gonna. He's got way too much to lose. Like that guy's just being a dickhead. What, you're gonna get a name off of that? Like,
didn't you almost get in a fight with someone at the 50 Cent concert? No, am I?
I did.
Oh yeah,
I did.
What's the story there?
No,
you were shirtless, by the way. What were we doing? Where was your shirt at the 50 Cent concert?
Me and the missus are big 50 Cent fans. Like we're waiting for that one. Like we grew up. Get rich or die trying, me and babe. But yeah, it was the opening act, whoever that was. Like his mates were down in front of us. We were on the stand or whatever, and the missus just dancing around this and that, and then spilt a little bit of her drink out of her cup, and a little bit hit the guy's shoulder, who was down there, and I saw them. They turned around and they were like, what? And I go, oh, sorry boys, apologize. And then I just switched places. So the missus, I just moved her over. She's just dancing away, oblivious of the whole thing. Just moved her out of the way. Was get out of the way, and then carry on dancing. And they were like, no, you need to get her, and she needs to apologize. And I was like, true. I was just in my head, I'm going I ain't telling my missus shit. She's having a good time. If you think I'm upsetting her, you got another thing coming. So yeah, I just showed him the bottom of my boot, and I said, if I come over this rail, I said, I'm going to stomp your head in, brother. I said, this is the last thing you're going to see. I had my Timbs on, showed him the bottom of my boot, and then they got a bit freaked out, and then they sacked her. I was just having fun with it, I was I like conflict. I truly enjoy like having like a good old fashioned argument, but you need to remember that the only reason you ever see me argue is to fight. If that's what an argument is for. An argument is a precursor of a fight. But anyway, like they went and got the like VIP security, and they said, "Oh, that guy over there, blah blah blah," and then he's actually like a friend of mine, and he looks up and sees at me, and he just laughed to himself and shook his head, because he's like, if you think the whole all the security in fucking Vector Arena can get Dan Hooker out of here, if I go, boys, back me up, like, if you think you're ever going to be able to get me out of there, you're absolutely off your head. But yeah, like the missus had no idea what was going on. Eventually, so the security made them leave. They told them to piss off, and then they told them, like, they said, about the after party, boys, I'd forget about it. They said, go back to your hotel, stay in your hotel, and do not leave your hotel room tonight. They're like, you do not want to see Dan Hooker and his mates. Silly.
Must be quite empowering, like knowing you can fuck someone up. Like to me, you've got nothing to prove to anyone. I suppose that's what I mean.
Yeah, like that's why you're like less prone to like a confrontation, because you do have like nothing to prove. But if combat has taught me nothing, it's how fragile the human body is. Like the human body is incredibly fragile. So that's why that's why I don't muck around with influences. I take everything incredibly serious, because I know that if I get hit, I'm just as likely to get knocked out as everyone else. Like I know the exact points where you get hit that the body switches right off. Like, so that's why I take everything incredibly seriously, because you need to.
Hey, this has been great. Thank you so much for responding to my DM. How's it been for you? Do you enjoy this, or?
Yeah, I enjoy it if there's interesting questions. Then it just feels like a conversation. Like I told you that before, that if you come in here and you ain't done your homework, I will just troll the absolute shit out of you. Like I'm a troll, head and shoulders above everything else. If you came in here and you're like, so, where did you grow up? I'll be like, I grew up in Pocono. I used to go to Pocono Primary. And then, because you didn't do your research, and I would have just trolled you for an hour and a half. But you did your research.
That's a lie.
You came prepared.
Mount Roskill, Mount Albert Grammar School.
Mount Albert Grammar School.
Yeah, I got it. I got you. Hey, it's been so nice to finally meet you. I've been so excited about this ever since you replied. Initially, I was like, oh, come in next Wednesday this time, and you just replied mad, and I was like, is this going to happen or is it not going to happen? And then I heard a story about your very first signing with the UFC when you messaged that guy, and it was like you're like, oh, I'm a one-word answer guy.
I'm gonna release that one day. It'll be funny, like to actually because of my negotiations with the UFC when I first got in, like I emailed the UFC and I said, hey, you're coming to New Zealand, I'm the best. Like, give me a shot. And they'd heard about me, but all they said was, can you make featherweight? Like, can you make 65 kilos? And I just messaged back, yes. And then someone else sent me a contract. But for most of my UFC career, instead of my like last 2 or 3 fights, I've managed myself for like most of my UFC career. And Sean Shelby will message me like, you want to fight this guy, this date, this place? And I'll just message back, cool. Like we're just full. There's no negotiation process. It's just like sweet, like see you there. Just one word answers. But that's why Sean Shelby, like, he's got a soft spot for me. Yeah. It's because like fucking easy to deal with.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I love that about you. So he ended up coming back to you and saying, hey Dan, we need to negotiate to give you some more money.
Yeah,
so
well,
you weren't even about the money early on.
No, like I had 2 fights in the UFC, and then he was like, oh, do you want to fight Yair Rodriguez in Houston? And I was like, bet. And then he's like, do you want a new contract for more money? And I was like, do I ever? I was like, yeah. What? I would have done it for way less than that. Like, yeah, just the idiot. Yeah, just to like get my foot in the door. I see now the importance of a manager and stuff like that, but I wouldn't change any part about it. I enjoyed that time. I enjoyed like the things I learned from that and the freedom. That's why I like difficult times, and it's not about what you get from it. It's about what difficult times make you. They make. If I took back any of those losses or hard times in my career, then I wouldn't be the person that I am, and I wouldn't have the skills and the like emotional maturity to work through loss the way that I can.
Well, you got great energy.
Thank you, sir.
This has been...
You bring it out of me, because it's like, if it's a shit questions in a shit podcast, then you're like, I feel like that's why when Israel first like got to UFC and that, I said, they have to, like an interviewer or someone has to ignite the passion in you. You know, like you are not, I'm not a performer. Like, I don't come in here and then like do a show and dance and put on any kind of performance. It's like, if you got shit questions, it's going to be a shit interview. But if you can light a fire and spark and ask good questions, then I'm motivated to you invigorate like memories and emotions in me, and then I get to share them with everyone else.
Well, if anyone's going to give me like 2 hours of their time like you have today, I'm not going to disrespect them by not doing the work. Dan Hooker, you're a great New Zealander. Thanks, mate. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.